boy Soup, and yes, we're back with another video, y'all. Alright, Goku versus Saitama, but this time we're gonna do this video with Chuck the Cyber Cuck. Here we go, again. So, I don't see why is there an argument, right? I still don't see why that there's still an argument until Saitama does something, you know, insane, right? Like, almost destroy universe, you know, he does stuff like that. But, you know, I don't see the argument yet. Like, you sneezed, and, you know, you saw Jupiter's, you know, core, right? We saw that. That was impressive as hell. And I will not take that away from Saitama. I will not. I simply can't, because that was amazing, off of a sneeze. But I've seen too much, read too much to suggest that this man can still box with Goku, bro. The same man who trade blows with Beerus, who's using 1% of his power. And that 1% of Beerus' power nearly took out the universe. And Goku had to, you know, at that time use about 80% to cancel out Beerus' 1%. To stop the destruction of the universe. But it still destroyed stars and planets and shit like that. Alright? And even the King Kai said that the macrocosm nearly got wiped out. Alright? So, yeah, now we're here again with this topic again. Who would win? It's getting kind of repetitive, isn't it? I know who will win. Not just me being a Goku fanboy, me being somebody who's logical. You still don't win. You don't got the feats. I don't care what hacks you got. You don't have the feats that suggest that you can. That's like trying to argue, can Saitama beat Superman? Can Saitama beat Thor? No, he cannot beat Thor. He could keep leveling up, but they're just so much stronger than you are. They're gonna hurt you before you can get the chance to climb up there. I'm just saying. But let's check it out.
There are two huge powerhouses that people think of, one of them being Saitama, the One Punch Man who has recently showcased what he is really capable of in the fight against a Cosmic Garo. The other, of course, is the OG, Son Goku, who has fought dozens of incredible adversaries and has obtained forms that rival and surpass the gods themselves. Given that Saitama has gotten an impressive upgrade recently, people are once again asking the question, who would win in a fight? People always like to compare these two, so to answer the question, with me today is my good pal King Bullet, who has done Invincible and Naruto content in the past.
Yo, what's up guys? It's a pleasure to be on the channel.
So, without further ado, let's check out how strong these characters are, and if Saitama now has a chance against the legendary Super Saiyan.
So let's get into this. Chuck, do you think that Saitama can beat Saiyan Saga Goku?
Oh, easily, he would want.
Yeah, I could honestly, respectfully say that he can. Right? I say that Saitama could beat Buu Saga Goku, maybe. But when it cuts off at Buhan and Vegito. That's for right now. For right now, for me, he could slap up everybody up until Vegito and Buhan. That's when he's going to run into some problems. But everybody else is fair game. Well, actually, no, I may have lied. Because Solar System feats. Maybe the Cell Saga, maybe.
Untap him. The best things we have in the Saiyan Saga is, like, you know, Planet Plus. I mean, even if we use, like, anime filler, like, we saw King Vegeta wiping out, like, 3 planets, you know, else with the power level of 10,000. And then Goku and Vegeta surpassed that by several times, so, you know, they're really powerful. And that's, you know, Planet Plus is about as high as they get. So,
Yeah.
I would actually argue that Saiyan Saga characters already had a really good chance against Saitama before he had his feat, of course. Given that, you know, he punched away Boros' star-collapsing roar cannon, which, you know, is like planet surface to planet levels consistently, but can be argued higher, as we'll get into later on.
Wait, hold on. I want to hear what Chuck had to say. Hold on. Say that again, Chuck.
Planet surface to planet levels consistently, but it can be argued higher, as we'll get into later on. Before
I don't know if it could be argued higher. It has to do something first. It will have to do something that made me believe, oh, yeah. It could be higher than, you know, planet surface to planet, you know, level, right?
this feat, I do think Saiyan Saga characters had a good chance, but now, definitely not.
Nah.
I think we should also know that this Goku has Kaioken. It essentially allows him to multiply his power. From what I remember, King Kai stated if he's not...
It's still like trying to argue this part is ridiculous because he at that time, Goku at that time doesn't have full control over Kaioken, and if he does not end Saitama, it's his body's going to be done. Kaioken literally breaks your body, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. So Saitama for me takes the dub for Saiyan Saga Goku easily.
Careful, he could end up destroying the Earth. So you could argue he's planetary based off that. I mean, we know this is pretty consistent. Doesn't Vegeta destroy like planets on his way to Earth during the Saiyan Saga? It's a pretty casual thing. And like you said earlier, he has a higher power level than King Vegeta.
And mind you, this man was in space breathing with no problem at all. Not even on the atmosphere of this planet. This nigga, like I said this, I gotta stop cursing. This man, Vegeta, was all the way out here. Did a little light beam and blew this planet up.
And King Vegeta was capable of destroying multiple planets with one single attack. I've seen calculations where his feet place it at dwarf star level. Now that is pretty impressive, but I do think Saitama can be argued stronger than that. For example, if you use a Blu-ray guide, it states that Boros' collapsing star roaring cannon can apparently destroy stars.
Yeah, it definitely can be translated that way.
But yeah, how do you think it should be translated? Do you think you could argue Saitama is star level based off that?
If you want to interpret it as a star, yeah, but I would say going by the webcomic and the anime and the manga, they seem to imply it's more
just planet surface. So it's like, I'm going to go with what it says in the manga, not what it says in the guide. The guide is never right. The guide is never... Look at Naruto, bro. They said Tamari could blow away the universe with her fan, bro. In the guide, they said Kakashi is omnipotent. Stop it. The guide don't even make sense anymore.
more like planet surface to planetary. Star if you really want to take the high road, but you know, I think most consistently at that time, like it was a planetary feat.
Yeah.
That is true, and if you actually look at the kanji, the Japanese for it, I think it says it's a hoshi. And a hoshi means a celestial body, so it could be referring to a planet, a moon, a star. But I think it's generally used to refer to planets, especially within this context, so I do think it's mistranslated in the Blu-ray guide. However, I think it kind of depends on reader interpretation. So I think we can definitely conclude that Saiyan Saga Goku probably can't be Saitama. So let's talk about the next arc. Chuck, do you think it's possible?
Oh, they just argue that Saiyan Saga Goku could beat that Saitama. Wow. For me, I say Saitama take that dub. But if they're saying Goku takes that dub, I'm going to go ahead and say Goku take that dub too, my boy.
Well, that Saitama can beat Frieza Saga Goku as well?
Going off power scaling, like, we know that even Fodder's planetary, right? Ginyu Force multiplanetary. First form Frieza, several times stronger than them. I believe the feat of destroying planet Vegeta can be calculated to being large planet, if not even dwarf star level, and it would make sense going by how we know the power gets in later in the series with Cell. You know, you can easily get Goku to being star level in this saga, and you can actually argue even higher depending on if you want to argue with the anime, which I will bring into play later on. I just don't think Goku has a chance against the Saitama. It just really comes down to speed and attack potency that Saitama has. His attack speed is way too much for anything for Goku at this point.
Yeah, I think you can argue that Goku and Frieza both reach star level within this arc. We know this because take first form Frieza. We know he can blow up planet Vegeta, which is stated to have a gravity 10 times that of Earth. The feat in anime was calculated to produce the energy equivalent of almost 2 tenatons of TNT, which is enough to destroy very small stars. Because power levels are linear within his arc, for example, if you multiply your power level by 2 times, you get 2 times stronger as well. Final form Frieza should be drastically stronger than first form Frieza, who's using less than 1%. So if you apply the multipliers, Namek, Frieza and Goku should be reaching about star levels of power.
Yeah, definitely. Just going by how the series progresses, they should be at that level.
You could tell Chuck didn't even want to make this video off the tone of his voice. He's like, you know, why are we even talking about this, bro? We've done this argument so many times, and it's getting annoying.
With the anime, we can actually highball Goku really hardcore because there are 2 feats in there that not only give Goku really great speed, but also really great durability and attack potency. I'm just bringing this up because, unironically, like, you can argue for a highballed Namek Saga Goku to go up against this fool, and here's why. There's this really crazy feat in the anime where we know that Bulma's spaceship, it took about a month to get to Namek, and the ship is so fast that it traveled from Earth to, I believe, Jupiter or Saturn in, like, basically a split second, right? and it took that a month to get to Namek. And we know that from the macrocosm maps that Namek is on the other side of the universe, and it's easily a multi-galactic distance away. And this is really important because Goku's spaceship got there in 6 days, meaning it was much faster than this. Now, why is this important? Is because King Kai could keep track of this ship, yet could not keep track of Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza fighting in the Namek saga. Basically, this is telling you that Goku and Frieza were so fast that even King Kai, who could keep track of this multi-galactic, like, distance-traveling spaceship, like, he could not see them, right? So, you can easily, like, highball his speed. I believe billions, trillions of times FTL, depending on how you want to interpret.
Billions to trillions of times faster than light. I mean, if I had a guessing game, how fast is Saitama? How much faster than light is Saitama? Because I know he's not in the billions to trillions. And this is just Super Saiyan Goku for the first time. So, I mean, I guess.
Interpret how far away Namek is. And also, this is not really consistent going by the manga, but obviously this is anime. And going by how the later arcs interpret the power of the characters, it actually is not really that far-fetched. So there's actually this scene where Namek is exploding, and the explosion can be seen from up to a galactic distance. So
Ooh.
you can interpret that.
That explosion was huge. Because if you could see it from out of the galaxy, that's crazy.
It could even be higher than star level, like solar system. I've even heard it being argued to be multi-solar system level. That's a bit of a stretch, if you ask me, but I think that saying it's at least above star level is, really reasonable, and I think that Goku with that speed could contest against Saitama, if you want to highball going off the spaceship feat. And with attack potency, you could argue that he is, multi-solar system level, but I'm not gonna argue that he's that strong. I'm just saying that it can be brought up.
Now
So what would suggest... Oh wow, look at that.
Now that is possible to argue.
But then it's like, okay, if we could argue that there's 2 feats that Saitama has gotten recently, which is the sneeze and the punch that him and Cosmic Garo did, right? So there was no out panel where it showed from outside of the galaxy or the universe on how strong their punch was, right? But with this, it showed how big of explosion that, how Planet Namek, what I'm trying to say, it showed a big enough explosion from Planet Namek outside of the galaxy. So I don't know, what do you guys think?
Argue, but to be absolutely fair, you might be able to argue that King Kai could only keep track of a ship because it's moving in a linear fashion, it's moving straight towards its destination, whereas Goku and Frieza are moving side to side, making it difficult for King Kai to track, so it might be because of that as well. As for Namek blowing up, and you being able to see the explosion happen from outside a galaxy, that does seem perfectly valid, but there might be other feats in the future that somewhat contradict that. So this Namek Saga Goku should be able to match the power of Season 1 Saitama, if you're being generous to Saitama. So Chuck, do you think Saitama could beat Cell Saga Goku? I think it's starting to get a little bit more difficult now for Saitama.
The thing with the Cell Saga is that we know Super Perfect Cell was a solar system buster, and although Goku had a pretty good fight against him, he was not quite on the level of Perfect Cell, so he was still in the star levels pretty much. I would say that consistency-wise, he does not have a chance, but maybe you could argue him having a win con if we use the highball speed feat from Namek Saga Goku, but generally, I don't think Cell Saga Goku has a...
Yeah, I feel like Cell Saga, that's where I was saying, I feel like it probably caps off at Buu Saga Goku, because, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 2, this Goku just isn't, full power Super Saiyan Goku just isn't at that level, at that tier. But Buu Saga, yeah, I can honestly say that.
Big chance.
Well, you might be able to argue that Cell can destroy more than just a solar system, because apparently solar systems within Dragon Ball are like nebulae. They have countless stars within them. Well, I'm pretty sure that's what's stated in the Daizenshu.
Yeah, it is said in the Daizenshu that these solar systems are made up of countless celestial bodies, so they can be argued to being far larger than a typical solar system.
Oh, so basically, within the Dragon Ball universe, Cell can destroy multiple solar... Yeah, we know that, though. But for Saitama, they try to argue that since he had that gaping hole after the punch that him and Cosmic Garo had, that, oh yeah, he destroyed multiple galaxies with no evidence. Did not show such things. Maybe a few, stars, but within that universe, that's kind of the equivalent to what Cell can do if he really wanted to, because there's multiple stars within inside of a solar system, and it says it right here in the Daizenshu. So, Saitama fanboys, what now?
And this would make Cell stronger than baseline solar system level, which is pretty impressive.
But obviously Saitama does gain stronger feats. The most notable being the one where Saitama's Serious Punch collides with Garu's Serious Punch and creates this hole in space. You can just see that these countless stars have been destroyed. It seems like this multi-solar system level feat. I assume that thousands of stars have been destroyed. We know this is a combined feat between Saitama and Garu, so this should be at least half of his feat. But from what I know, this feat can be highballed to even higher than just multi-solar system level, right Chuck?
Actually, there's like a scan that implies it's more than multi-solar system range, because like there's other like panels where we see galaxies in the distance, and if we literally don't see any
Okay, so we see galaxies, but where did it show that like it destroyed? Did it destroy it?
galaxies in like that shot, that would imply that they blew away or destroyed all of those star systems and likely entire galaxies. So I would say that the low ball is like multi-solar system level, and the high ball is easily multi-galactic. I would say it is at least galactic, but I mean, yeah, I think this is way too much for Cell Saga Goku to take care of, just consistency-wise.
I think everybody can agree.
Okay, so if that's the case, then I admit that I'm wrong about that, what I just said. I could take my L, feel me? If that's the case, I'll take my L wholeheartedly. That's perfectly fine.
That this feat is at least multi-solar system level. Whether it's multi-galactic or galactic is a little bit more out there. I only say that because it is true that we can see some galaxies in the background, even though that shouldn't actually be possible. Usually because galaxies have like this Roche distance, meaning they can only really be certain distances apart. What I mean is this minimum distance so they don't collide. And with the naked eye you can't really see more than a galaxy away, because galaxies are so far away, and as you all know, the further away things are, the smaller they are, unless you're looking through a telescope. So the artist of One Punch Man made this scientific error, but it doesn't really matter. Let's assume that you can see multiple galaxies away. Whether Saitama is actually destroying them is still also out there. Just because galaxies are scattered around this starry sky, doesn't mean there were any galaxies seen in that exact area that was blown up. It might be the case, but we can't say for certain, so it's a little bit ambiguous.
And I also said that, like, there was no exact evidence or concrete evidence that suggests that they destroyed multiple galaxies, right? That's just my opinion on it. If they would have showed a bunch of galaxies get destroyed, I'm like, yeah, you got it, my boy. You got it. Multi-galaxy, you got it, bro. Almost universal, you got it. You got it.
Regardless, Cell Saga Goku loses, even if you interpret Saitama's feat the lowest possible way. Technically, in between the end of this saga and the beginning of a Buu saga, there was a very impressive feat that Goku was able to pull off, and Chuck's just gonna talk about that now.
So a really crazy feat that happens in the anime is shortly after the Cell Saga, but before the Buu Saga, in which Goku and Pikkon are sent over to take care of Cell and Frieza in Hell. And this feat is really insane because Goku and Pikkon are basically chilling in the Grand Kai's planet, which is orbiting heaven, which is all the way up in the afterlife, and they have to go all the way down. Basically, they have to travel through several universal distances. You could even interpret it to be several infinite distances, given that the Daizenshu states that the living universe is infinite and is full of infinite galaxies. And if heaven is as wide as a universe, and it is like small compared to the whole afterlife, that means that Goku and Pikkon easily traveled massively faster than light, and if you want to go with the highball, you can argue that they have infinite speed, being that they travel through infinite space and finite time.
Oh, wow. Shocker. Wow. Infinite speed. Because they travel from heaven to hell in a matter of few seconds. Like, people forget stuff. That's funny. Somebody timestamped this. Infinite speed. I remember so many people kept telling me, yo, Goku don't got infinite speed. Goku don't got infinite speed. Oh, here you go.
Now, this isn't really consistent going with what we have later in the series and in Super, but it is a pretty interesting feat to mention nonetheless.
This feat should be valid and it did happen. My only concerns are the time frame. It's never really stated how long it took, but it's implied to be a very short amount of time. Anyway, this brings us on to the Buu saga. Do you think Saitama even stands a chance against this version of Goku?
Yeah, so I think it depends on how you scale Buu Saga Goku. So manga Goku should be at least multi-solar system level, given that he's several times stronger than, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Cell. But in the anime, you can easily argue that he's multi-solar system level in base alone, being that he fought against stronger opponents that literally one-tap Cell. So yeah. Then we have Fat Buu casually wiping out galaxies, and, he was stated to be an universal threat, and we also have a crazy feat in the anime where Kid Buu was threatening to destroy the Grand Kai's planet, which orbits heaven, which, as I said, is as wide as the universe. And although we don't have the exact size of this planet,
Wait. So the Grand Kai's planet is as wide as... Do you know how big that is? That is massive. You're saying Grand Kai's planet is as big as the universe, as wide as the universe itself. That's nuts.
it is at least multi-galactic, even like as a low ball. But Kid Buu was implied of being able to wipe this out, and obviously Super Saiyan 3 Goku matched up against him, so you can scale him off that. So if we use the previous feats from the anime as well, I think Goku has way too much speed at this point for Saitama, and they should have comparable attack potency. However, if we use manga Goku, then I don't think that he has a chance.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We do see Buu shred galaxies visually, like you said, and we also know Buu's meant to be this massive threat to the universe, at least according to the Kais, within their lifetime. I would assume that Buu is at least multi-galactic, and able to destroy galaxies pretty casually. This might be consistent with the fact that when Buu absorbed Gohan, he was apparently capable of crushing the universe by throwing other dimensions on top of it, and Kid Buu is potentially stronger than that, depending on how you argue.
I'd say it depends on how long you interpret Buu would take to wipe out the universe. Like, they do imply that it would take at least within the Kaioshin's lifetime, which is millions of years, so he'd be wiping out billions of galaxies in that time frame, so multi-solar system level at the very least, but logically galactic levels going by the anime, and we also have to keep in mind that Buu was being very casual when he was wiping out these galaxies.
I know it's also possible to argue that Buu's universal because he stated that he could make the universe go poof, which implies that he'll do it very quickly, maybe in just a singular attack. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I don't really agree with Universal Kid Buu, but I can't see it being argued that high. But generally speaking, I think Buu Saga Goku just has too much going up against Saitama if we use, the utter, like, amazing feats that we have in the anime.
Yeah, I think that should be a fair assessment of Goku's powers. So he probably isn't universal at this point, but you can definitely argue it, I think. Saitama can't really get anywhere near that, unless you use maybe the hyperspace arguments. What I mean by that is, we know that he's able to kick away these hyperspace portals that Garou creates. Now, a hyperspace, from my understanding, is meant to be a space with more than just 3 dimensions. So usually an extra dimensional space, like a 4D space or above. Sometimes in fiction it refers to a space-time continuum in which you can travel faster than light, but it's probably not that. So maybe it is this higher dimensional plane. And like I said,
But you just said, my thing is that if that's the case, in which it's possible to travel faster than light, that's what they've been doing. You said that they've been traveling way faster than light since the Namek saga. Billions to trillions of times faster than light. That's what you said, right? So, if that's the case, that's what they've been doing. So, I could argue that Goku could probably, not probably, but he can do the same thing that Saitama just did.
Saitama easily kicks these away. But he's only kicking away the portals. I don't know if it necessarily scales to his power.
You could argue for the attack potency, but, he more so manipulated and touched them. He didn't really destroy them. But even if he could destroy them, it doesn't really matter because, basically, of the feats that we have in Super.
Guess this finally leads us on to, could Saitama beat Goku in Dragon Ball Super? More potentially destroying it. And as a lot of you might know, the Universe 7 macrocosm is like this space that's made up of multiple different universes. And just by clashing with Beerus, shockwaves were capable of possibly destroying this construct. And the waves travel throughout the macrocosm pretty casually as well, within seconds in the anime, and instantly in the manga.
Yeah, so they were gonna destroy all of these realms. Heaven, which is as wide as the universe, the Grand Kai's planet, Hell, the Kaioshin realm, which is outside of it, And I have done calculations on how big the afterlife is, and you can actually fit over 170 heavens within it, which is basically universe-sized planets, right? So, Goku gets several Zenkais, becomes thousands of times, arguably millions of times stronger than where he was before, and so he can basically wipe out hyperspace many, many times over, and this is due to the fact that the afterlife is stated to be in a higher dimensional realm in the Daizenshu, so 4D, right? Easily.
And even if you did grant the hyperspace argument to Saitama,
Like I've been saying, you remember how Anime Balls Deep was like, oh, he could, Saitama could tank, Super Saiyan God Goku's attack. No! But then again, they did say they're not power scalers, so they wouldn't know better. So, a professional power scaler using all the evidence and showing you why you get slapped. But it's okay. Alright? It's alright. It's fine. Saitama might get a new power up soon. He might get a new form. He's getting closer. Right?
I don't think it's enough to scale him above Goku, who's capable of destroying macrocosms. Since to destroy a macrocosm construct like that, you'd probably at least need 4th dimensional power anyway. And then obviously Goku gets way stronger from there.
Yeah, a little multiversal at least, yeah.
Meaning even if you highball Saitama, he's still struggling against this version of Goku.
I mean, honestly, even if we said that Saitama can destroy a 4D realm, I mean, revival of Frieza Goku was already stronger than the Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God Goku that fought Beerus. And at that point, we don't even have to bring up Super Saiyan Blue or Ultra Instinct, so yeah.
Yeah, completely. I think the form's called Saiyan Beyond God, where he absorbs it into his base form, all of his god powers. However, you could argue it's a separate form. It doesn't matter really, because he just stacks like other forms like Super Saiyan God on top of that, and then Super Saiyan Blue, etc. So of course that means we're not going to talk about Ultra Instinct. There's no point, really. Ultra Instinct's just too broken for Saitama and too strong. This would finally move us on to skills and abilities. Who's better at martial arts? Who has the better abilities? That kind of thing. So what do you think about that, Chuck?
Okay, so let's say that they were equal in attack potency, right? Goku would still have better speed feats. I mean, like, they were able to react to their shockwaves, which went outside of the universe in mere seconds. The thing with Saitama is that he doesn't really know how to fight, and this is pretty evident in many areas. One of them being when he fights off against Suiryu, and he asks him if martial arts is just being able to move really cool, right? Plus, when he fights off against Garo, Garo says that although he's really strong and is really agile, he says that he's full of openings and lacks skill, right? And Saitama even says that Garo was hard to hit because of his martial arts. Additionally, in an interview with One and Murata, they basically ask if Saitama has any weakness in sports, and they say that, you know, he wouldn't be good at table tennis or football because he lacks technique. And yeah, this is sports, obviously, but it is pretty, like, similar to the statements that other characters have made in comparison to fighting, right? However, Saitama has really insane power growth, and we saw it spike up crazily up against Garo, so you could argue that it is much faster than Goku's, but I mean, we've seen Goku get insane boost in just a couple of minutes, and he also gets stronger over time, so, you know, they kind of have the same ability in that sense.
Yeah, Saitama definitely gets outskilled by Goku if it's like a pure fist fight and they're the same level. And this moves us onto a massive contention. A lot of people claim that Saitama is like limitless, and he's this gag character that can't lose, all these things. Is that true? Firstly, gag characters can lose, they're not all invincible. They do have these powers that make them somewhat unbeatable, but they can lose within their own fiction. In fact, within Dragon Ball, characters like Ariel, who Toriyama created, can—
And Ariel would, and I say this in the most polite way possible, Ariel would whoop Saitama's ass, bro, respectfully. She will whoop his ass, respectfully.
And lose to characters like Beerus. So if anything, Dragon Ball characters actually have this resistance to gag characters, unironically.
Yeah, it was implied that gag powers wouldn't work on Beerus, and Goku is, like, around Beerus's level. Like, he should be around there logically. I mean, they've stated so many times that he was at the realm of the gods and surpassed them, but I don't know. I mean, they keep raising the bar on Beerus, but, you know. They've even said that apparently he's not there yet, so honestly, I don't even know what to believe anymore. The point is, Goku got insanely much more powerful than he was when he first fought Rayleigh, right?
My other contention is that people think that Saitama is invincible because he can one-shot anybody in fiction.
Yeah, I don't know where they got that from, because clearly when he was fighting Garo, he still didn't one-shot the man. And I don't care if he wasn't They say that he wasn't trying. He was trying, bro. He wasn't trying to kill him, but he had to try because he lacked skill. Right? He actually needed help. Garo needed to help him. Garo instructed him to like, yo, bro, I'm going to send you back in time so that you could, beat me before I get all these massive power-ups.
Clearly isn't true. You can't even one-shot everybody in his own fiction. And it would also be a no-limits fallacy to say that characters who are quote-unquote invincible within their own series could technically lose against somebody who is also invincible from another series. And saying that you can beat anybody in fiction is so lame. It would kind of be like me beating up like a bunch of kids and claiming that I'm invincible just because I'm way stronger than everybody else I know. Like, it just doesn't work, really.
Saitama's clearly not able to one-punch anyone in fiction, right? Because he's trying against Garo. He literally said, I can go all out against him. And Garo...
And here's my rebuttal to that, Chuck. These Saitama fanboys, bro, were like, oh, Sue, did you know that even though he said he's using his full power, doesn't mean that he's using his full power. That's literally what one of them told me. I was like, all right, bro.
Has survived multiple punches already, so clearly that whole gag force power that they think he has is no longer there.
Yeah, but the way I've always interpreted the author saying that Saitama is limitless isn't because he can beat anybody in fiction or beat anybody, but it's rather he has a potential to do that. So like you said, he may reach his limit against Garu and now has to try, but he can break that limit. According to the audiobooks, I'm pretty sure it's stated that Saitama grows in power every single day. He can beat himself from a previous day with one punch, so with each day he gets like a one-shot level stronger. So he's limitless in that regard, I think.
Yeah, so people really freak out over Saitama being able to like fold the moon or like sneezing away a planet, which is really crazy, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But they try to say that Dragon Ball characters can't do that, or they haven't been shown to do that. I mean, although we do have to fight between Beerus and Champa, right? We haven't seen Goku do that, but they logically can. Because, I mean, we've seen Goku 1-2 tap Rakumen Burger, who were way stronger, and took an attack from Vegeta, who was gonna wipe out the planet Earth. So, yeah, that's a pretty clear planetary striking strength feat right there. And we also have Trunks casually cutting apart Frieza, a stronger one, and mind you, that a much weaker one that was nearly dead survived the explosion of Namek, yet Trunks cut him apart like nothing, and Goku deflected those same strikes, so they can clearly destroy planets like that if they really wanted to, but they also have really good ki control, which is why they don't destroy everything in their path.
Exactly.
Okay.
What Saitama don't have because he's not a skillful fighter. He's just strong.
So originally we were gonna drop this video a lot sooner, but the new feat came out, right? And a lot of people are talking about it, and basically what happens is that Saitama copies Garo's ability to travel back in time, and he basically punches Garo before like the fight even started, really, right? So I've seen some people say that this is like immeasurable speed, which it really isn't. Immeasurable speed is being able to move through time through pure speed alone, and this was clearly not speed. It was just...
Thank you. It's not immeasurable at all. The nigga didn't even... Saitama didn't move. He didn't move. All he did was copy a technique that sent him back in time. Not like he, through speed... Like, say if... Okay, the Flash. The Flash has immeasurable, incalculable speed. Right? Because he could move back in time with just his speed alone. No, not really a technique. He could just run really fast.
An ability, right? And we don't even know if he still has the ability to begin with.
Yeah.
And even if he did use it against someone in combat, it would be really weird for it to work.
Yeah, a lot of people claim that it's inaccessible speed, because what happened was this punch was landed before he was even on the moon. Yeah, it states that this punch was powered up on the moon, which is technically the case, because Garu was punched with the force, and the power that Saitama had gained while he was on the moon, growing exponentially. And as he punched Garu, that future was erased. That's why it stated that there was this reversal of causality. So because that future Saitama and his timeline is being erased and he's punched Garu, technically Garu was punched by nothing, therefore beaten with 0 punches. And then we all see what happens right after that. Saitama merges with his past self, and that's just how causality and time travel works within One Punch Man.
Yeah, so how I interpret it is that he just copied Garo's ability, obviously ended the fight before it began, but like he wasn't moving, right? It was just like time travel hacks, right? I don't think it's fair to say that he can move through time by just moving really fast, right? So I don't think that's immeasurable speed. Maybe you could argue immeasurable like hacks, but I just don't think this feat is really applicable to Saitama, like, in a normal combat situation.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, like, in the Garo fight, they do emphasize a lot that his power is growing, like, immensely, right? So maybe you could argue that they were equal stats, like, theoretically, right? Do you think Saitama could possibly take over Goku with his growth, or do you think Goku has just about as much growth as Saitama? Because, I mean, he's gone insanely strong in a couple of minutes, as we've seen.
Yeah.
That is true. Goku has this ability to innately get stronger during a fight. He can even get Zenkai boosts. So if he's injured very badly, he can grow stronger from that, which is pretty useful, I think. And I don't even know how effective his time traveling ability would even be in this scenario within this fight. And I only say that because if he was to go back in time to, let's say, kill Goku as a child or something, that would just create another timeline if you're using Dragon Ball logic. Just like how Trunks went back in time to save Goku and created like this alternate timeline where Goku survived, wasn't killed because of a heart virus.
If we went by Dragon Ball standards, right, then if theoretically Saitama went back, we don't even know how far back he would be able to go to begin with, but if he theoretically went back that far, like, it would just be a split Goku, it wouldn't be the same one.
So if Saitama did go back in time to fight this younger Goku, he'd ultimately be fighting another Goku, another version of Goku, not the original version of Goku he was fighting originally. So he's kind of like removing himself from the battlefield.
Yeah, so as you can see, just going from all of these things that we went over, I think it's very clear that although Saitama is a lot more powerful and can beat some versions of Goku, I think that he just has a lot of trouble going up against Buu Saga Goku, and even if he does beat him, I don't see him getting past Super Goku.
Thank you.
In retrospect, as you can see, Saitama definitely has a chance against a lot of forms of Goku depending on how you scale him, but I would say that for sure, he does not make it past Dragon Ball Super Goku because he just has a lot of stuff in his plate. Especially when you account for the fact that in the manga, Goku is clearly much faster given that he was able to move in a timeless void. This is a really uncommon speed term, but it is called inaccessible speed. It is basically when you are so fast that even when there is no time, you can still move through it. And this...
I was telling people that he was going through a timeless void, bro, to get the second Zeno. I was telling people that. But people forget this man's feats. Like, he ain't doing it.
By nature should be much faster than being like, say, billions of times the speed of light or whatever.
If you don't mind me saying, this might be consistent with the fact that Jiren is stated to surpass time with his power entirely. If you surpass time, you shouldn't be bound by linear time at all. Thus meaning you can't measure a character using the basic speed formula. If that's the case, this could mean Goku's even faster than basic inaccessible speed, which would place him at immeasurable speed. Now this is a little bit more high-end, or highball, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think it can be said this is some potential scaling that you could give Goku.
But yeah, there you guys go. I hope that you enjoyed this breakdown. Please subscribe to King Bullet and myself, as we will, be rocking out more content.
Thank you, gentlemen, for showing the truth. And for me, reacting it and, taking it out of proportion. If you guys would like more content like this, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to King Bullet. Chuck, you already know what the vibes are. I'm back. Hi, welcome. And I'll see you guys soon. Peace.